Good morning. Welcome to the Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Free Press Media Press Inc., an alternative parties books publisher, sponsors this podcast. I'm Andrew Bouchard. Welcome to the Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Today, friends, we have another exciting guest on this podcast. His name is Alan Esposito, and he is with the Libertarian Party Star Trek Caucus. So welcome to the podcast, Alan.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We're glad to have you, Alan. Let us get started by you kindly giving us an introduction to yourself, a brief biographical sketch.
Absolutely. So my name, again, is Alan Esposito. I serve on the Hampton, Maine Town Council, so I am an elected Libertarian. I'm 37 years old. I'm U.S. Army veteran, spent 8 years on active duty and medically retired. Used to be a paratrooper while I was in, and now I have fun sitting here thumbing my nose at the duopoly day in, day out.
Sounds good. So, since you won the race, can you tell us how you won the race and what you learned from running that race?
You know, I think, so the town that I serve is about 8,000 people, and there's 4 districts, and I'm one of the district counselors, and then there's 3 counselors at large, 7 total. And there is a thirst for change in small communities and municipalities across America, and I was kind of a manifestation of that, I felt like. Okay.
So you seized and leveraged something that was going on in society.
Yes, so my term is 3 years. My term is coming to an end. I have 2 months left of my term. I don't think I'm running for re-election. I haven't yet taken out papers. But, yeah, it was the 2020 election season. And there was all this vitriol in the air. There was all of this political angst that people on both sides had. And then it was me. And I stated who I was at the time. I was the chairman of the Penobscot County Libertarian Party. And I was politically active. I was doing speeches. I was doing rallies and activism everywhere. So I was known, and I was quite taken back when I saw that I won. So the fact that, I said, this is me. I'm here for property rights. I'm here for individual liberty. I'm here for individual sovereignty. So I think that really resounded with people.
Sure. And what were the responsibilities of the office in brief?
So to sit here and essentially, any new ordinances or legislation that comes before us, to sit here and vote yea or nay, dive in and be where I'm a district counselor, and it's the rural district that I represent, keeping their rural beliefs in mind, just because that's the core of my constituency.
Okay. So it sounds like your office is called something slightly different to be called in other areas. I remember I ran for county board. Would you say that's a similar position in other states, a different name?
I would say this would be the equivalent of a city councilor.
City councilor, okay. So in your area it's called?
I'm a town councilor.
Town councilor, okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, so it's a small city, but it's a councilor for that, like a city council position.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, the term counselor sounds more foreign, not so much an American term. So that's interesting to know. So what led you to the Libertarian Party in the first place?
2012, Ron Paul. I'm pretty sure he's the father of modern libertarianism. And, I'm getting ready to get done with active duty, and I'm just, I have all these different feelings. I'm getting ready to get out of the military. I'm looking back at the 8 years of my service, and I'm just, why do I feel this way? He just put answers to it. And, I knew I didn't belong to one party or the other, and he called it something else. And that's what brought me over.
Okay, so Ron Paul was the big motivator.
Yes.
Okay. And you said that was in 2012, right?
Correct.
Were you living in the same place, or were you living somewhere else?
I was stationed in Texas at the time.
Oh, okay. Where exactly in Texas?
Fort Bliss, El Paso.
Okay. I'm calling out Austin, so that's a little ways away from here, so that's interesting.
A little
You're
bit.
down. Did you like Texas?
I love Texas.
Yeah, it is a good place. So between running for town council 2012 and then, what did you do in the Libertarian Party? Did you get learning as a beginner, or what did you do with your time there?
Honestly, I kind of feel like I rewrote the book.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was attending town meetings in the county that I served. I was looking for new avenues of fundraising to even include, we had a Penobscot County Libertarian Party OnlyFans page at one point.
Oh,
So we were the first political party on OnlyFans. We had 4, I call them models, but they were actual libertarians in the party that wanted to do this, and everything that was made went to the party.
okay.
So we looked at the libertarian belief on things like legalized sex work and whatnot, and we put it out front. And then, like, not only do we believe in it, we're going to raise money off it.
Sounds good. Yeah, I haven't heard anyone do that before on OnlyFans. I've seen OnlyFans a couple times, heard about it in the headlines a few times, so I'm not super familiar with it. In case somebody in our audience hasn't heard of it at all, how would you describe it?
Well, since I have, how do I describe OnlyFans? It's social networking, but with 18 plus content.
Okay. Interesting. How did people on the platform receive your party? Were they looking for other stuff and they didn't care about politics, or were they eager to hear your message?
Oh, it was eager to be heard. We had people doing things like posing with a "Don't Tread on Me" flag, or we had one young lady, she essentially wrapped herself in face mask, and that's what she covered herself with to protest the face mask.
Oh my.
So we made it politically relevant.
Okay, so it's edgy yet politically relevant material.
Correct.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, that is something I've never heard anyone do, not even the Libertarian parties before, so that's different. So, you were telling me that you started a caucus in the Libertarian Party. Kindly explain that.
I did. The Libertarian Star Trek Caucus. So, LSTC. So we, if you look at Star Trek as a whole, I grew up watching Star Trek. I grew up in a very poor family. We didn't have any money whatsoever. And one of the things I used to look forward to was my parents recording Star Trek on VCR when I was on TV, when I was away at school, and I'd come home and I'd watch them. And I look at some of the core values and beliefs that were from that show, and if you break down Star Trek even further, it's kind of based off a fictional, I'll call it almost a libertarian socialist utopia.
Oh, really?
So I wanted to really accent on the libertarian portion of that, and so Libertarian Star Trek Caucus was born.
Okay. So the term libertarian socialist, some of our audience are probably familiar with it, some may not be. I've run across it, and people have different definitions for it from what I've encountered. Some say it's similar to anarchism. It's more left libertarianism. How would you describe the term libertarian socialism?
So a lib-soc in itself seems as an oxymoron to me. That's why with the caucus I just focus on the actual, because how do you have decentralized and centralized at the same time?
Sure.
So that's why I focus on the mainly libertarian portions of Star Trek for the topics of this caucus.
Okay. So are you looking to change the Libertarian Party through this caucus?
Change, I don't believe so. I'm just looking to inform.
Okay. Inform the Libertarian Party on what they can learn from Star Trek?
Absolutely. So I look at some of the most defining moments I've ever had, and I can think of a Star Trek episode, all of them.
Interesting. You said the most defining moments in your life, you've had a Star Trek episode for everything.
Absolutely.
Wow. Wow. So there's a lot of real life themes in this fictional series.
Absolutely. Everything from like what I suffer with post-traumatic stress disorder and whatever else, combat, things like that, to challenges in the workplace, to I mean, there's nothing that I don't think they haven't touched on.
Wow. So are you partial towards any of the different breakoffs of the Star Trek, the different
Oh yeah, I've got
versions
my
of it?
favorite.
Oh, you do? Do you share it, or is that something you want to be non-partial with in case to
Deep
not
Space
alienate
Nine.
people? I'm sorry?
Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine. Okay, why do you like that better than the other ones?
Because that was the most, I would say, relatable out of all of the series. I felt as though that you see interactions with characters as coworkers and not just people they serve with. So there was growth, there was development. But you look at the lead character, Benjamin Sisko. He was the captain, but he was also a single father.
Oh.
On top of that, this was a very influential show back in the day because he was a black man who was a single father, who was doing all of these great things. It was fantastic representation for black people too.
Sure. Interesting. So how is Star Trek doing these days? Is it still prominent or is it fading away?
I mean, it really depends on your taste and your interest. So I've watched them all. I stay up on all of them. The visual effects are fantastic. The stories are well thought out. I think it's growing.
Oh, yes, okay. And what is the Libertarian Party? How are the other members responding to this?
Oh, people definitely, they enjoy some of the kind of clever thoughts and memes especially that we put out. So they definitely enjoy the humor and the anecdotes.
Okay, that's good. Is it something that the whole country can relate to, or do you think it's certain areas that relate to it better?
I don't see why everybody couldn't, honestly, but I mean, I know there are some people that also go out of their way to be offended too.
Huh. So nowadays, with the different media that you don't have VCR, do you get your Star Trek episodes from streaming services, or how do you get them?
Streaming services.
Okay. Do you have any favorites that show what you want to see the most?
Paramount.
Oh, Paramount's good for that.
Yep.
Is the Star Trek, is Paramount the only one that shows the ones you want, or
I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure. I know Paramount does because I think they're either owned by CBS or they own CBS, one of the two.
Oh, okay. Okay, so they got, whatever the case may be, they got the best access to the material.
Yep.
Okay. And how about the actors? Do any of them have libertarianish beliefs?
I'm not entirely sure. So I've only ever met one of them.
You met one? Oh, wow.
I did, yeah. I met the gentleman who played William Riker on The Next Generation. He lives in Maine.
Oh.
So I met him many years ago.
Huh. How did that come about?
At the time I was 19 years old. It was before I joined the military, and I was working at Toys R Us. And him and his wife, who used to be on an ABC soap opera, they came into the Toys R Us and they signed a big, not Lego, but the Mega Bloks version of the Enterprise D. And they were buying toys for their charity to give out for Christmas time. So I got to be kind of their assistant shopper and, help them pick out items.
Huh. So I take it that they were down to earth and humble and they weren't.
Oh yeah, Jonathan Frakes and his wife are just wonderful.
Oh, good. Awesome. So that's a good experience. Sometimes when they have a saying, if you don't want to meet your heroes because they might disappoint you, but it sounds like in your case that doesn't apply because they were good people.
I think if somebody takes their time to go and spend a fortune on kids that they don't know or they haven't met, and, just to try to do something. There's a spark of something good there.
Sure, that makes sense. So what are the future plans for the caucus?
I think right now I'm getting ready to kind of implement a plan. I'm going to keep hold those cards a little close to my chest, but
Okay.
I'm working on a plan for expansion, just to kind of again, it's just to be informative and entertaining. It's not to be groundbreaking or shake things up or whatnot. It's just to sit here and be an outlet or an avenue for people to be like, hey, this is entertaining. Maybe I should look this up, or maybe bring people closer to watching Star Trek or something like that. Whatever may happen. If there's an action that follows the information, then it's a success to me.
Sure. So it's a good diversion for people in the Libertarian Party while they're going about their activism.
Absolutely.
That sounds good. So you said that your term is coming up in 2 months, and you're not planning to run for the same office again. So if it's something you can share, what would your future plans be for political activism within the Libertarian Party, in addition to this, of course?
So I would just say speaking events, and I know that there's things in the air, potentially people hinting at mask mandates and things like that. If that's the case and they try that again, I will be at these rallies and these protests like I was through COVID, and I'll be engaged with the public, absolutely.
Oh, sure. That sounds good. So how can our audience learn more about the Star Trek Caucus, and how can they get involved in it?
Well, if you're looking for more, you can go on Facebook and go like us at Libertarian Star Trek Caucus. And again, we post good information. We post lots of Star Trek Libertarian-based memes, so we entertain as well as inform. And we just your interaction. If you see something that you like, share it. Just pass the word. That's the biggest thing that could be helpful right now.
Sounds good. And I plan to put the link to the Facebook page in the show notes.
Wonderful.
All right. So how else can our audience support you in your efforts?
That's it. Just I could really use the clicks, the likes, the shares. That's the best way. So I don't ask for anything monetarily or anything else. I just ask for support in the fact that you share. That's it.
Okay.
If you have content
good.
that you'd like to submit, please submit it too, and we'll gladly post it and give credit to whomever submitted it as well. So I absolutely encourage people to contribute as well.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Alan, we thank you for coming on the podcast today and talking about your history and your experiences with the Libertarian Party, as well as the Star Trek Caucus of the Libertarian Party.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, we wish you all the best in the caucus and the party and everything else you do in life.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, bye now.